Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, friends. I'm Amanda Lee Anderson, also known as Empty Nest Board Mama in the board game community. And this is my first podcast. So I would like to welcome my very special guest. You know him as the designers behind hits like Honey Buzz, Stamp Swap, Genotype, and Periodic. I've gotten to know him through our mutual love of postal nerdy things.
Hmm.
So please welcome my very first guest, Paul Salomon.
Hello, hello. Thanks,
Hi,
Amanda.
Paul.
Really appreciate you
Yeah,
inviting me to
I'm
do
so
this.
glad you're here.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
like I just told you in our little pre show, we've
yeah.
got three things we're going to talk about today. First thing is going to be all about you. I am all about the board game community and building each other up. And here at the Have a Seat with Amanda Lee podcast, we believe
Hmm.
there is room for everyone at the table. So I would like you to have a seat and tell me all about yourself.
Thanks. Yeah, well, I am Paul Solomon. 41 years old, to know that. And
Me
let's
too.
see. I live in St. Louis, Missouri. I grew up here. I actually work as a teacher at the school that I went to. Here we're here in my math office basically. When I was a kid, my
Math
dad
major.
was a teacher, a theater teacher, speech teacher, and so I sort of grew up at this school. And then when I was in seventh grade, came to the school as a student, and then graduated. My sister was at the school, went to college, of course, came back, and eventually, I started teaching math in New York State, upstate,
Hmm.
is where I met my wife at this boarding school. Moved to Brooklyn for a handful of years, and when I came back to St. Louis, started teaching here. It was my dad's last year as a teacher and my
Wow.
sister's senior year as a student. So we
Oh my
had the,
gosh.
the three of us all here together. And I think I've been here 12 years now.
That had to be
Um,
super weird for your sister.
I think so. I mean, I think she liked it, honestly, because she is 12 years younger than me, as you might
Hmm.
have guessed from how that
Hmm.
would have to work out. So when she was in kindergarten, I left for college basically,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so we didn't grow up the same way. We didn't have like that same childhood together. So
Hmm.
um, I'd say we're closer friends now as adults.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like I work with people that were friends with her at school, and yeah, it's odd because the longer you do this sort of teaching at one place thing, you start to like I'm at an age now where I teach the kids of people I went to school with,
Hmm.
and I work with people who teach the kids of students they taught,
That's
so
crazy.
we're sort of getting up there. And last year was my first year part time as a teacher. So
Okay.
I went down to 60%, three classes instead of five. And that basically let me focus on, doing game stuff. So I was the head of development at Elf Creek Games, where we published Honey Buzz, and I worked on a lot of titles there. Mostly Santa's Workshop. I was developer on
Hmm.
that, and Honey Buzz Fall Flavors, of course, and then a
Yes.
great game called Watches and Clocks of Hickory
Okay.
Docks, which is yet to be released, but I expect will have a future. It's a really cool time track game that I think people will love.
So, how did you balance that full time teacher job and designing? Was designing just kind of your passion project to begin with, or was it
Yeah,
something you've always kind of had in the back of your mind that you were going to
sure.
transition away from teaching?
So I've always just been like kind of a maker, a doer type of person.
Hmm.
Like when my first job I ever wanted to do, or not even a job, but my first thing I wanted to be was a poet. When I was in, it was like kindergarten or first grade, and we had done some sort of a poem where like I, I, I can't remember. It might have been about snow or something or a kite, but the shape of the words sort of made the picture, and I just thought that was really
Okay.
cool. So I wanted to come up with ideas like that. And I remember in kindergarten for sure, we were doing these things called like, I don't know. It was sort of these lateral thinking exercises. They're like puzzles, and you would just ask questions so you figured them out.
Hmm.
And like one that was like, you know, um, the man couldn't go home because, or yeah, something like that. The man couldn't go home because the man with the mask was there. And so we had to like figure out what was that about, you know, and it was like a
Hmm.
baseball thing. It was like a runner on third base couldn't go home because the catcher was
Oh,
there who had a
okay,
mask,
okay.
right? So the thing I really loved in those was like being clever and like
Hmm.
being a person that had the idea. And so that was part of what poetry was about for me. And then later it was art and like painting and, you know, stuff like that. And
And
uh
somehow you transitioned into shapes.
yeah,
Because
yeah, exactly.
in my semi stalkerish background check
Yeah,
of
yeah,
you, I found that you are super into like polyominoes and shapes
for
and stuff
sure.
like that.
Yeah.
How did that come to be?
When you're an interviewer though, we just call that research. You know, that's not stalking, that's just research. It's great. Yeah, so my obviously my first career was teaching math and I have a couple degrees in math.
Hmm.
And third grade, I had this experience with a protractor. We learned how to do a protractor and like measure angles. And I was coming up with all of these shapes and learning how to draw stars really well and different kinds of stars, 7 pointed, 8 pointed.
I'm gonna have to
And
put a protractor on the screen so the younger
yeah. Oh,
generation can see what that looks
well, I've
like.
got, hold on.
Oh, you got
Here,
your Mr. Zip shirt on
here's, oh
too.
yeah, I was going to show that in a minute. I got my sip. So this is kind of what a protractor looks like. You know, you
Yep,
can measure
yep.
angles.
I
Um,
remember those.
so yeah, I was fascinated with shapes and math, and of course studied that a long time. And then I taught at this place in Brooklyn called St. Anne's School, which was sort of a hippy dippy sort of art school. They don't allow any grades,
Oh
and so I was
boy.
teaching all sorts of ages there. And a couple friends of mine and I started a mathematical art seminar, which is kind of like a club, but um, and we were digging deep into what it meant to like make mathematical art. We were going to the Bridges conference, which is the sort of global math art conference. It was in Towson, Maryland 1 year, and then it was in Enschede in the Netherlands the next year.
Oh
And
wow.
so we, you know, I just started really digging into making art, and I had a couple of commissions, and um, you know, that was a super engaging world. And it's like there's this connection between what the math tells you answers should be sometimes, like, oh, this is what that angle should be, or here's what kind of symmetries are allowable, or etc. But then also there's this aesthetic quality of like, you know, how do I want it to look?
Hmm.
And how can my preferences interact with what's possible? So I did that for a bunch of years. And I think when I moved to St. Louis, I thought that it would sort of like, I don't know, I'd make more of a splash somehow in the art community, but I never really sort of got anywhere with that. And I lost connection to all the people that I was doing that with.
Oh,
So, I mean, I'm still friends with them. We just weren't working together on the
right, right.
stuff. And so yeah, eventually, it was sort of along that time of transition from Brooklyn to St. Louis where I started playing modern hobby games, and
Okay.
I was playing a lot of diplomacy at first. That was one of
Okay.
my first like modern. It's not even modern really, but first sort of hobby games that I played a
Okay.
lot of, and I had played it a little bit in high school, but the math department at St. Anne's did a whole game of that. Like we were in teams, and it was very cutthroat and crazy. And then I played Ticket to Ride, and was sort of digging in. And when I moved to St. Louis, I played Dominion, and that got my. I mean, I was really like shocked at how incredible that deck building system was. So
Hmm.
my first design goal was to make a deck building game that was based on FTL, which is this roguelike video game, computer
And
game.
what's the board gaming scene in St. Louis like?
Extremely strong. I would
Yeah.
say it's hard for me to imagine it being better somewhere else because
Okay.
we have Miniature Market here. So there are
Yes.
multiple Miniature Market retail stores that are awesome and have gaming space and obviously great pricing and selection. You can order from the website and pick up in store. And I literally drive by their new store twice a day. I
Oh,
go pick
that's
up my
rough.
kids and I
How
go.
do you
So
not stop?
uh, I don't not stop. I do stop. Um,
Yeah, I'm from
and
Wisconsin
yeah,
originally,
yeah, yeah.
and I have Noble Knight
Hmm.
games. up
Yep.
there. So that was my favorite local game store.
For
They're pretty
sure.
awesome too. They're known for their buyback program. They do a
Oh yeah.
lot in buying, selling, trading,
Yeah.
and
And we
I
have a place called Game Night that does like consignment secondhand
okay,
sales. So you
love
can put your
that.
used games up there.
I
But
love that. I'm always
I
looking
also
for a
started
deal.
a Facebook group that does no shipping buy sell trades. So there's like
Okay,
constantly people are circulating games in the area, and then we just have a handful of publishers. Like we have a Proto Spiel STL, we have Geekway to the west. Last weekend was
yes,
Geekway Mini. These
yes.
are
How was
awesome
that?
conventions. I wasn't there. I didn't have a ticket, but I did kind of gate crash, as they say, and I was there for about 2 hours with my friend Chris Porter, and Susanna from Stonemeyer was there, and my buddy Tyson Gajewski, who runs Protospiel STL.
Chris
And
Porter from Kraken Skulls.
absolutely, from Kraken
Yes,
Skulls and Holiday Hills.
Holiday Hills coming up. Yeah,
Yeah, he's an
awesome.
awesome dude.
He is.
He and
I met him
I,
at PAX.
yeah, yeah, he and I met at Geekway 2 years ago, maybe. And I was saying, he was telling me about his games, and I said, "Oh, the Holiday Hill sounds so cool, but we already have a Christmas game, so it'll probably pass." And then later we were like, "Well, we could do a whole line of games." So he and I actually worked on it a little bit, trying to sort of see if it was something that we ended up wanting to publish, but didn't 100% get there. And he seems to have done amazing things with it since then. So
Yeah.
that's super cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm super excited. He's sending me a review copy, I think at the end of February. So I wanted to play it so bad at PAX, but I was working with the Doomlings team, demoing
Oh yeah,
Doomlings,
that's
and
awesome.
just did not, our schedules just weren't jiving. I got to meet him. It was like a
Hmm.
big hug, quick hi bye,
Sure.
good to see you.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited to get Holiday Hills to the table.
Yeah, it's an awesome theme of just like that was the thing I think that was most exciting to me of like we can make this amazing is Holiday Hills is the suburb of the North Pole where
Okay.
humans and elves live together and decorate sort of like lead up to the big night, I think is the plan. Or maybe it's like right after Christmas they have their Christmas
Mm-hmm.
celebration and you're decorating the town. And I
Mm-hmm.
think unless things have changed, you have like an elf worker and a human worker and they have some differences. um, it's a really just the idea of a suburb of the North Pole I thought was really cute and
That's fun.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
let
yeah.
me steer us back
Sure.
because it's really easy to get off track when we're talking board games. But anything else you want to share about yourself? Anything else we should know about you? Because I feel that people connect with people they know, like, and trust.
Sure.
And I want to know you. Is there anything else that you think people should know about you?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm a dad. I'm a husband.
Okay.
Um, I've been married. I think our anniversary is next weekend. We've been married. I think this will be our 16th year,
I
so it's
love how you
kind of
say I
cool.
think, but you're not really sure.
And I am confident at this point. The problem is that we always when I say we've been married like 16 years, or I say like we've been together 16 years or something, my wife always says, "Oh, it's really 17
Mm-hmm.
because like the year before, whatever." So that's,
Right.
but it is.
Oh, I got a cat fight going
Woo, cat cat trouble. What else about me? I don't know.
Is your wife a
Um,
gamer?
she is very much not a gamer. She
Okay. Okay.
really, I think part of the problem is she's very competitive. She
Okay.
can be very competitive, and we played a game of code names on a trip one time with family, and it got very heated. She, she, but that's fine. She doesn't have to play the games. My youngest daughter, Chloe, has gotten a little bit into the games, and she will ask to play. I have a prototype right now of a game that I am dying to sign, and I think she asked me to play it like 10 times in about 24 hours.
Uh-huh.
Really, really fun. So hopefully I'll get to sign that and start talking about it for real.
Ooh. All right. So let's talk about a little bit about what you have been playing lately, other than just the one we can't talk about. So tell
Sure,
me,
sure.
what else have you been getting to the table? So you were at Geekway Mini. What did
Yes.
you see there?
Yes. So I was only there demoing my own stuff. So
Gotcha. Okay.
I didn't get to play anything at all, but let me think of what I've played recently. I am a huge fan of the Unlock series of escape
Yes.
rooms.
Yeah, we just talked
I've
about
played,
that.
yeah, I've played almost all of those. And let's see, we played the third one in this. They usually come in boxes of 3.
Hmm.
and we finished one of those, which was cool. It was like probably not my favorite of them, but we always like it. And then I played they have like a series of short ones. So
Hmm.
I played that with my buddy Tommy. Can't remember what the theme of this one was, but that was all. Oh, it was like sort of like an Indiana Jones thing. Uh, if anybody has not played the Unlock series, you absolutely should. They're so cool. Um,
Yeah, I
I've
just got introduced to the Unlock series by Cardboard Clay from the
mm-hmm.
Operation Game Night
Oh yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
He sent me one in exchange for what was it for? I don't remember, but I had never
Yeah.
played an Unlock before, and it was super fun. And
Which
now
one was
my
this?
husband, it was just one of the mini ones.
Yeah.
What one was it? It was a
Scheherazade something or other.
theme. It was like a desert theme.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
I
but
haven't
that was
played a ton of
fun.
the small ones yet.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that was a good gateway to get interested into it because I wasn't sure that it was even something I was going to be down with. But my
Mm-hmm.
husband isn't really a big board gamer either.
Yeah.
He will play with me begrudgingly. He's more of a video
Mm-hmm.
gamer,
Mm-hmm.
and that he actually did really enjoy. I think we're more on the co-op team. We'd rather
Oh,
play
nice.
together
Yep.
than against each other. And I think our brains are both very different, so that helps us both see things very differently in those like escape room type games.
Yeah. The Unlock series is just so clever the way they use these
Hmm.
puzzle pieces to like combine stuff, and you're like, well, let me pour the water on this thing to clear off the sand. And yeah, it's
Yep.
it's super fun.
Yeah.
I've been playing Fromage. That was my game of the year from 2024.
Nice.
Amazing. I played here.
Haven't gotten my
Got some
hands on
visual
Fromage
aids.
yet, but
I've got a game here called Smug Owls. Have you ever heard of
okay.
Smug Owls?
No, I love that simple artwork though. That's
It
super
is
cute.
a really good thing. It says here craft answers to randomly generated riddles. And
Okay.
for example, you might have what rises before it breaks. I don't know. What rises before it breaks? The tension.
Okay. I was gonna say
Okay.
bread, but
Or a teenager's voice, or firework, or a
hmm.
fever. Okay. So there's over 130,000 riddles you can randomly generate. And then it's sort of Cards Against Humanity, apples to
Hmm.
apples style. Everybody gives their answers, but then
Yeah.
the random
Hands out.
cards get handed out. Whoever doesn't have an answer, whoever comes up with their answer last can't score points, but gives out the points to other people. It's a great game.
Okay.
Um, yeah, man, I've just been play testing so much my own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go out tonight and play Kinfire Delve, which is a cool
Oh.
two-player
Okay.
card game.
Yeah.
I normally would not like, I think, this style of like adventuring, fighting stuff. But it's such a good system that I think it's really cool.
Okay.
And that's about what I can remember right now. But before we go on, I brought a bunch of goodies I wanted to show off here. So
Okay.
yeah, because
Yes, please do.
I
Drops.
forgot one, but so I forgot really a couple things. So you and I both share this postal interest. You work for the USPS. I'm
Yes.
just a fan.
How
But
did
I
that come
bought.
to be? Really quick. Where did that come from?
I think honestly, it's hard to say. I don't 100% know. I know that I really got into stamp collecting because I wanted to make a game about stamp collecting. So I went to and I met with this guy David Semsrott who runs our stamp shop in St. Louis, and this old dude, sort of like, you know, classic, what you would imagine is the prototypical stamp collector old guy in this, kind of like cluttered, you know,
Mm-hmm.
walled in kind of shop of stuff, old stuff.
Very musky, dark.
Very. And so we hit it off. I'm not sure. I also just like, I have an appreciation for civil service, essentially government work, people that do things that are a part of making, postal workers make the country great in a way that people don't appreciate or understand a lot
For
of the time.
sure.
So
Yeah.
I will
I
say I did.
married a mailman,
Yeah.
so And I know a lot of people say this about their own job, but unless you do it, you have no idea.
Sure.
Like everybody's like,
Yeah.
oh, the mailman just drives around and
Oh
waves and
no.
puts mail in the mailbox. There's so
Yeah.
much more to it than that.
Oh,
I'm,
absolutely.
a clerk turned supervisor. As a clerk, I don't just sell the stamps at the window. It's
Right.
sorting mail and,
Yeah.
getting everything ready for the truck. And yeah, there's just so
Were
much
you a
more
postal worker
involved.
before you got married?
I was. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
actually we actually met on Facebook. I lived in Wisconsin, he lived here in
Mm-hmm.
Florida in
Mm-hmm.
a Facebook group for postal working singles.
Nice.
That's how we met.
That's awesome. That's cool. Awesome. Oh, and I did remember one thing about my connection to the postal
Uh-huh.
service. One is that when I was a kid, our mailman was just so nice and cool, and
Awesome.
we just were so excited to see him, and he was so nice to us all the time.
Aw.
He had the classic, white mail truck and with his seat on the right side, so he could
Mm-hmm.
pull up and stick into the
Yep.
envelope. And when we would see him, we would go talk to him, and he always had this wrist full of rubber bands, and he would give us just like 100
Oh,
thick rubber bands, and that,
I love
we love
that.
that. So I brought a collection of some of my postal things. I do have the Mr. Zip shirt
Yes.
here.
Yep.
I had a
Mm-hmm.
USPS hat that got too sweaty from disc golf. I don't even know where it is. And for those that don't know, Mr. Zip was essentially there weren't always zip codes. That's what
Right.
people need to know. Mr.
Yep.
Zip was like a
He was
mascot
the
to help roll
mascot for
that
zip
out.
codes. Yep.
I have also this U.S. mail metal
Lunchbox.
lunch tin, and it has Mr. Zip on
Zip
the
on it.
side there.
My zip
Uh,
code is.
it also says my zip
I
code is. Now,
love
nobody filled that
that.
in.
I
This
love
was
that.
from Aladdin Industries Incorporated, Nashville, Tennessee. It's a mailbox, and here on the flag that you would put up, it says that this was Charles Witter's. Charles Witter owned this thing, and
Wow. I love that.
on the inside here, we have the thermos,
The Mr. Zip
the
thermos.
Mr. Zip thermos with all kinds of zip code information. So that's one of my prize collection items there.
I love that.
And then I have my collection of postal games. There's one that I didn't bring, which I got at David Semsrott Stamps. It's the oldest one. It's called the Stamp Collector's Game. I think I showed this off on Jamie Stegmeyer's stream at some point, or on a video about Stamp Swap. And that game comes with actual canceled postage stamps, which is really
How
cool.
cool.
My first postal game was, like you, the Great American Mail Race,
Yes.
aka, if you look it up on BGG, it's actually USPS, the Great American Mail Race.
Yeah. It's like USPS licensed.
Yeah, surprisingly, and it's fun. It's a great pick up and deliver game,
Yeah.
and it's actually kind of close to my first concept for Stamp Swap. So it's part of the reason I shifted. My second one was Penny Black. If you played
It's upside down.
Penny Black,
Yes, I love that one. I love
Great
the
game.
acrylic tiles. It's so
acrylic
tactile.
tiles. One thing I just noticed here as I was, holding this thing is that this is a London postmark.
Okay.
So presumably, and Penny Black, of course, is a British stamp. But then all these other stamps, every British stamp has the monarch over here, but none of these do. So it's not really about British stamps or anything. This is from an American company anyway.
Yep.
Great little game with the
Yep,
plastic
love that
stamps
one.
that are awesome. Then
I've got airmail.
you got one. Oh, airmail. Let's see that. I don't think I've ever heard of that.
It's behind me. Right here.
Oh, wow.
It's still in shrink.
Tell me about this game.
So I haven't even played it yet. It's still in shrink. I found it. My husband and I went to San Antonio for his son's graduation from the Air Force over the summer.
Nice.
And we found a great little store, and this was on their 40% off.
Oh, okay. It looks like a pick up and deliver game.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It says a game delivered by Tony Lopez. It's by
Ludo Nova. Yeah.
Step into the shoes of an aviation tycoon and manage one of these companies competing for the contracts to establish and operate the first airmail service. That the
Interesting.
incentives offered by the government by plotting the most efficient routes and developing the technology that will allow you to build the most autonomous and reliable models. Whoever can make the most profit for their company will win. Yeah, so it's got
Wow.
little
That's cool.
airplane
Yeah, I'd give that a
people.
try.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then,
I'll
of
bring
course,
it
Thurn
to
and Taxis.
Geekway to the West and we can play
Oh,
there.
please do. Have you played Thurn and Taxis? Because that also is a postal themed
No,
game.
I
It's
haven't.
a sort of a classic, like Ticket to Ride style game. Very good. Let's see, I got three more. Some are more
Okay.
exciting than others. Got
Oh,
Stamp Swap, designed
that's
by
the
me.
one.
I've got this is kind of the prized possession. I'd say this is the most valuable game in my collection. And this is Stamps, probably upside down. Stamps, that's gold foil, from, you would never guess, this is from Oink Games. And it's
Okay.
actually, I don't know if you can read that or not, but that is, can you read it?
I can't, it's too small. Let me
No, it's too
zoom
small.
in on my. Uh,
Yeah, it's Reiner Knizia's Modern Art, published by Oink Games. And so this is
that's
very
amazing.
rare, I will say that. And I don't even know when it was published because a lot of this is in Japanese. But if you look at eBay, you'll see that there are ridiculous prices for these things. But of course, all the pieces of art are stamps. And
I love it.
it is Modern Art's an amazing,
Okay.
amazing game. And this is a really fun version of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those. It's one of the rare games I'll never get rid
Where
of.
did
And
you
then
find
lastly,
that?
that I had to. So it's very hard to track down a game like that. Like, if you search eBay to try to find that, they're like $1,000,
Mm-hmm.
$2,000 because it's, I don't know, it's rare
Did
or
it? Was
whatever.
it numbered? Does it have a number
No, I don't
copy?
think it's numbered. No, it's just that's. I think this was really early on in their, you know, run as a company because obviously they don't make games that box size anymore,
Right.
and they don't print stamps anymore. They don't print the Modern Art game anymore. So I'm not sure. I have a feeling it's
Let
just
me.
kind of like Oink Games completionists that want to have it or something.
Mm-hmm.
So
Or
I couldn't
postal
spend
nerds.
1,000 or postal nerds. Yes. What I did was I went to the Modern Art page on Board Game Geek and I scrolled through all of the photos and found all the photos of the Japanese stamps edition. And then I messaged through Geek Mail all of the people that posted those photos and asked and then I think I might have clicked through because you can find who owns games or whatever and
Mm-hmm.
messaged all these people and they would say things like, no, I'll never get rid of this or whatever. And
No
I found this
way.
one guy in Japan who lives in Kyoto, where one of my best friends ever lives. And we arranged a deal whereby I would buy him a bunch of games from Miniature Market and ship them to him, and
Okay.
he would send me stamps. And
That
that's
is
what
a
we did.
fair trade.
Fair trade, yeah.
You definitely. I think you still came out on top.
I came out ahead. I mean, I think for
You traded
most
up.
people,
Traded
yeah.
up.
If I talk to like the normal person about how much I spent on that, they'd be like, "Okay, that was crazy," but I did. And
I
then the
appreciate
last
that.
one here, and we'll talk more
Ah,
about these later, is First Class
yes.
Letters, designed by Peter C. Hayward. Uh, this is an awesome roll and write word game that I'm publishing with Gamehead, and I've been really, really excited to work on that.
Yeah, so let's just dive right in. That's the last part
Sure.
of our interview here is let me cheer you on. Tell me what you've got going on,
Yeah.
and that's what we're going to lead with.
Awesome. So I worked for a number of years as the head of development for Elf Creek, and now I was hired as the creative director for Gamehead.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know Gamer Mats, they make they're more on the sort of TCG playing card side, but they make I would say the best play mats for board games, tabletop games. So Gamehead makes Gamer Mats, and now Gamehead makes board games. So they hired me as creative director, and I am there. You go. I
Yeah.
am. I'm basically in charge of kind of everything going right now. We're launching with 6 games,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully at Gen Con, all at once, straight to retail. No crowdfunding, no long waits, and we'll
Ah,
have
that's exciting.
yeah,
That's
I'm pretty
exciting.
excited. And having done a lot of Kickstarter projects, I'm also excited to not do Kickstarter projects. There's a lot of great
Okay.
things about them, but there's also a lot of headaches about them. So we're going to do 6 games, 2 party games, 2 casual games, and 2 thinky games.
Mm-hmm.
And First Class Letters is one of our party games. Let me just tell you about it real quick, because I know you've given this a go, but
Yep.
players, this is our little prototype thing. Players get a sheet, and you're going to play 7 rounds, and each round you're going to write a word on one of these lines, and you need those words to be in alphabetical order by the end of the game, or you'll have to cancel them, with a little cancellation mark, and they won't score points. You've got these dice. Oops. You've got these dice, which will look like packages spilling out of the back of the mail truck, because we have a little mail truck board. And so you roll these dice. This one is the dead letter die, which goes here, and you cannot use that letter in your word. And then one of the packages goes here, and that's the priority mail. So you must use that letter. And then the other 2 kind of spill out of the back of the truck, because that's why they're rolling down the road. And you just try to use those dice as much as you can to make these words, keep them in alphabetical order. It's really
so
fun.
much harder than it looks or sounds,
Yeah.
because I was in the mindset that the letter that you had to use had to be the first letter of the word.
Right.
And I think a lot of people were in that same boat.
For
because
sure.
you feel like you have to use it, but you could use it anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Because of course, you may be in a position where the only spot you have left is it has to be between D and F. And so you're like, okay, well, it's probably going to start with E, but I have to use a J or something. And so obviously you're not going to start with the J. You're going to do something. Exactly. There you go. Ejected would get you the 2 E's. Yeah, there you go. So that's one of them. Really excited about that. We've got a French party game called Foolish Fool that is just for sort of goofy. You flip a card every turn. It tells you a new rule that you have to follow. And you keep going around the table, getting more and more rules, more things to remember, more goofy, funny things to do. And if you make mistakes, then you lose points until somebody's eliminated or something, and everybody else wins. Sort of like, I don't drink at all, but for folks that like a drinking game, it's probably excellent for that.
Okay.
And what else on the casual game side? Have you ever played? Have you ever played Cucumber?
Show me the Sandara tank.
Oh, that's actually on the Thinky game. I didn't bring all these prototypes, but you can find it on Board Game Geek if you want to pull it up. Trinket Trove, designed by Rocco Privatera. This is a set collection bidding card game, hand management game. There's a deck of 110 different little trinkets. You are critters, collectors living in the margins of the human world, and you trade each night. You sort of go out and gather trinkets from the house, and then each morning you trade them with each other, and you're just trying to collect like a whole bunch of feathers together. Or there you go. You can see what's going on there. And if you click on that cover, we can take a look at that. We've got Sandara Tang did the art, and Manny Vega did the graphic design. That, of course, is the team from Flamecraft. And Sandara did Critter Kitchen also. She's incredible. And the gameplay is really slick and fun.
It was super fun. Oh, look at that guy.
That's me. Hey, yo. While we're there, why don't you search up Corgi Pile Up? See if that's in there.
Too.
Corgi Pile Up.
See that one at PAX, but you told us about it.
Yeah, Corgi Pile Up is a light trick-taking game designed by Steve Ellis and Saibepu, who did Nana and many, many, many Japanese games that you would know. She's amazing. And in this game, you are playing tricks that have to either climb, which means equal or higher number, or you have to play the lowest card in your hand. The last trick scores, and you want to not score points. So you're trying to sort of climb effectively so that you can hold something low in your hand, because if you can't climb, you have to play that low thing. And then there's a top dog variant where you actually want to get points, but not too many points. The game ends when somebody goes over 15 points, and it's either the lowest at that point that wins, or in the top dog variant, the highest that's not over 15 wins. So you're sort of trying to balance those things, play chicken a little bit. Yeah, that's a fun game. And then we have a really, really, really cool game called Venture Angels, and that you can pull up too. That's published That is from who originally published Venture Angels? Mandu Games in Korea.
Venture.
Venture Angels. This is Bruno Faiduti, who designed one of my absolute favorite games ever, Ink and Gold, top 10 for sure. Venture Angels is a kind of bluffing, bidding game with art by Ian O'Toole. And
Ooh.
there are some rows of projects you're trying to invest in. Yeah, like self-driving shoes or dinosaur cloning or computer for cats. And
Okay.
you have these chips. Everybody has the same set of chips, and you put them face down on in front of those projects. Those chips. So that 6 of blue on the left, it needs to get a total of 6 to fund. And if it
Okay.
funds, then whoever invested the most in it will get that project, which is worth like 6 points.
Okay.
But if it doesn't fund, of course, no one gets it. And whatever project on the board is the most funded actually never comes to fruition. It's like some frothy, you know,
Oh,
it's like,
okay.
what was
Okay.
that? I can't remember the name, that Elizabeth, oh God, I wish I could remember this. One of these companies that they're never coming to, they don't actually ever get their tech in the place that it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Theranos, that's what I was thinking of. Theranos. They were a hoax essentially. So that one's really, really fun. I think people will love it. If you like all play style of games, you will like probably everything Gamehead makes ever. This would be one of them.
Yes.
And then our 2 Thinky games, our Thinky line of games is really where like hobby gamers are going to find maybe their favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Trinket Trove falls in there.
Yep.
And then the other one is an amazing trick-taking game from Taiki Shinzawa called No Loose Ends. And you pull that up. Taiki Shinzawa is like the master of Japanese trick-taking games. And this also has art from Saibapu. This is actually the first time these 2 Japanese masters have worked together on a project. It's a re-implementation of a game from 2024 called Shut the Books by
Shut
Taiki
the books.
Shinzawa.
Here it is. Okay.
And what's going on here is you are basically planning a bank heist,
Oh,
which
all
means
right.
bidding to win tricks.
No, we
And you're
need
trying,
images here.
yeah, we need more images. That we're still waiting on the final art. Basically, you bid, trying to predict how many tricks you're going to win, but you bid with cards from your hand. And so I might put out 3 cards from my hand: a white 2, a red blue, a red 3, and a green 7 or whatever. But I can't just win 3 tricks. I have to win tricks specific ways to cover up the evidence that those have created. So
Okay.
if I have a red 2 in my bid, in my plan, I have to win a trick with a red or a 2.
Okay.
Okay, I have to like win a red trick or win a 2, and then it covers it up. And so I'm trying to win tricks in these specific ways and then also not win extra tricks, because every covered evidence is like a successful piece of the heist. But then
Mm-hmm.
any bid card that's not covered or any extra trick that didn't cover that is like a loose end. And you gain
Okay.
points. You gain points for covering evidence and you lose points for loose ends. And if you can have no loose ends and all your evidence covered, that's a perfect crime and you get a bonus.
Perfect crime.
Um, it's such, if you like
That
trick
sounds
taking,
awesome.
it
That
has the
sounds
potential to
awesome.
be like your favorite trick taking game. It's so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. And we're basically finishing art and graphic design now, and it'll go
Mm-hmm.
to print like in, I don't know, a month or 6 weeks from
And
now.
you're just banging them out, getting
It's
it in time
been
for Gen Con.
crazy fast. I started at the company on October 1. And so
Wow.
it's been, what is that? 3 months. It's almost 4 months. And we've got 6 games like ready to go. That's crazy town. And then
So tell
we
me
have
about that. Did you
yeah.
have those contacts already locked and loaded, like something you knew you were going to be getting into, or
Right.
how did it all come to be?
Like to have the job or to publish these games?
Both.
Well, so when I was at Elf Creek, and
Mhm.
Elf Creek is in a world of hurt financially, I will say.
Yeah.
But before I go on, I will say, for anybody listening that cares about the Elf Creek situation, I talked to a friend today, and I know that a letter of intent has been accepted for essentially an acquisition of the company. And so I know
That's
that
wonderful.
this company is likely to be acquired in the next month, and then there will be a sort of a future for those titles. But
Okay. Good.
um,
Great to know. Thank you for
yeah,
that.
my pleasure. So I was working there, and when things started to get especially rocky financially, obviously I have to have a job. So
Yeah.
I started applying other places, and Derek Funkhauser actually put me in contact with Alan Hockman, who is the head of Pastimes and also Gamehead, which makes
Hmm.
gamer mats. And, you know, he and I had several meetings about what he wanted to do. He wanted to come out with 6 games all at once in the same size box at the same price point, like very much a boardgametables.com to all play style of
Hmm.
transition.
Okay.
Um, and he didn't know much about games, honestly, and he really wanted to sort of hand a startup to somebody. And I told him about all of the things that I was already doing at Elf Creek, and it was a pretty natural fit. I don't think that he and I have 100% the exact same vision of what kind of games we want to make
Hmm.
right off the bat, but he puts a ton of trust in me and my vision, and
As he
uh,
should.
thank you. And we're going to hit market, and hopefully we're going to do really awesome stuff. And
Yeah.
then, you know, once I accepted that job, I just hit the ground running. They had 3 games signed, or no, they had 1 game signed, which is the game that became Trinket Trove. Through we did a bunch of development on it, me and Rocco. They had a game that would become Corgi Pileup. This was originally the Gudetama card game, without the Gudetama theme and license, and we did some development on that as well. And then and they had another game that we haven't signed and we may not sign. But then I started looking at Reiner Knizia's back catalog, and I have a game from Knizia that we've signed that's going to be in our second wave.
Ooh.
And uh, I knew I wanted to do these 3 kind of lines of games, so I was talking to sub licensing like agents in Europe that were saying like, well, we work with a Korean company and we have these games, and do you want to license them? And because that's sort of like a faster way to get to market
Right,
is
right,
right. If we take Foolish Fool and Venture Angels, we don't have to pay for the art. We just have to kind of pay more per game to
right.
use what they have. Um, and then, yeah, some of these other games just, I tracked them down, and we made them happen. And then, you know, he really wanted to sign 12 games. So
Oh, wow.
we have another 4 maybe already signed. I mean, I have a spreadsheet with images of our wave 1, wave 2, and
So
um,
when is wave two? So wave one's going to be Gen Con
wave
release,
1
and
is like,
then
yeah, Gen Con, you know, quarter 3 is the plan. As soon as it lands, I think we'll go to retail. And then we're yeah, exactly. There you go. Nice kitty. We are also going to release a new edition of Vabank, which is a
oh,
great bluffing game from Leo Colovini and Bruno Faiduti. That will probably happen along with Wave 2, which is probably quarter 1 of 2026. So, like a year from now, we'll
okay.
probably have 13 games in market,
13 releases.
13
Wow.
releases in our first 12 months. That
And
would be
just
that would be
to
awesome.
recap, they're all going to
Yeah.
be like the 6x6x2,
Yep.
like $20-$25 price point. And that's
Correct.
the
Right.
entire everything that Gamehead is releasing.
And except for Vabank. Vabank will be our
Okay.
first touch into slightly larger, and
Okay.
I do plan and hope. Obviously, the games that I've released, Stamp Swap, Honey Buzz, Genotype, Periodic, those are all bigger box games.
Right.
I like that style of game. I think they're great projects to work on. But these smaller ones can fly a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
And so to get into market with those is a good starting point, is what we started. And yeah, we think $20, $25. We're not sure yet
Mm-hmm.
because tariffs could
Production.
change
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
The cost of shipping could change that. But yeah, these will be small box games about this 6x6x2
Mm-hmm.
size. 2 of them fit side by side in a Kallax. 6 of them stack up in a Kallax. And
I got open space,
there
so
you go. So you can
no
get our
problem.
first 12 small box games all in one
In
cube
one
there.
square,
Yeah, they should fit
perfect.
there. And then Vabank will be it'll be a little standalone. It'll be like
That's
a
right.
little bit bigger,
I got
$30 ish.
space.
You got space for it. Yeah. Yeah.
So, other than that, are you working on any games?
Let's see. It's funny because I am so, like, really spending all my time on these
Mm-hmm.
Gamehead games, and my name is on some of these boxes. Like, I do have a game that is finished, that will be announced soon. Um, it's called Lobby Snacks, uh,
Ooh,
which I don't think the
that looks
publisher has
nice.
announced, but I hope they will not be upset that I say the name. No
Okay.
one's going to know that it's them. So, it is a trick taking game, with sort of a high society style
Noticing
twist.
a theme here. Trick
Yeah, I
taking
got
is definitely
yes.
your jam. That's where
So
you.
I started hanging out with this guy Pete Wissinger. He and I are now regular hosts, along with Jake Friedman and Brendan Hansen, on the Decision Space podcast.
Okay.
And Pete and I both live in St. Louis. We're both teachers. We're both gamers. We were developing his game, Magic State University, which was signed by Elf Creek. And he is a humongous trick taking fan, to almost a weird degree. And so he really introduced me to the world of Taiki Shinzawa and all of these crazy things. And I just wanted to try my hand at it and had some ideas. Like I said, as soon as I start doing something, as soon as I start learning about, like, as a teen, listening to music, like, I want to try to play music. I want to figure out how piano works. I want to play drums or whatever. And it
I
was the
have
same with
a
trick
term
taking
for that.
games. What is that called?
ADHD.
Yeah, I have that. I got that for sure. And yeah, so I had some ideas. We put them down. I took it to Stonemeyer Design Day, where I've had a lot of success over the years, and people really loved it. I think it was maybe the second highest rated game that year, and then it was signed, and I am very excited. I worked on it with Taylor Reiner,
Okay.
who is of Taylor's Trick Taking Table, a great
Mm-hmm.
YouTube
Mm-hmm.
site.
Mm-hmm.
He's an awesome dude, developer on the Fellowship of the Ring Trick Taking game.
Yes.
And so Taylor is the developer on that, and the cover will say, designed by Paul Salomon with Taylor Reiner. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, so yes, I'm working on the Lobby Snacks is done, and then of course my name will be on some of these Gamehead boxes in that same way of, like,
Yeah.
Rocco Privatera with Paul Salomon, or Peter
So
C.
that's the
Hayward
difference
with Paul
between
Salomon.
designer and developer. Like a
Yeah.
designer, it's your idea, your baby, and the developer just kind of helps fine tune it.
Yeah, and I'd say it can be awkward to find the difference. The main difference is, one of the big differences is that the designer is paid a royalty forever, and the developer is typically paid some money to do hourly work. So that's
Gotcha.
one difference.
Okay.
In Europe, I think they would say that the designer is the inventor
Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
that the developer is the editor.
Got it.
So an author versus
Perfect.
editor is kind of the role there. And for icons, I think we will use a light bulb for the designer and, like, a gear for the developer, because the
Makes sense.
designer has an idea, core hooks, and the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
developer really refines the mechanics and the numbers and the balance. And in the case of all of these games, I'm a very hands-on developer with the designer. I think there are places where, if I give them my game, they go, great, it's done. And I was surprised how much that sort of happened at Stonemeyer, is that the game was done very quickly, and the development process is different from how I work. Jamie is maybe the best developer in the world, so I have no criticisms. But when I work, it's like a lot of back and forth, and I say, when I played, I noticed this, and I don't like that. What can we do? And then they say something, and at that point, it feels more like a co-design, even though it isn't.
Right.
And so that's what happened on Lobby Snacks, and I wanted Taylor to be credited in that way, so that people would know, like, I thought the end result was as much his work as mine, in the way that we shaped the concept. And I think that's true on some of these other games too. But I also don't want it to make it seem like, Peter C. Hayward and I designed First Class Letters together. We didn't. It's his design, and I developed it with him.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one last question,
Sure,
before I let you go, because I
Yeah.
have enjoyed this immensely, and I could talk to you for
Me too.
hours.
Yeah.
But is Gamehead, is it taking any kind of submissions, or are you
Oh, yeah.
pretty booked, or?
Well, so I mean, the answer is we are pretty booked, and we are taking submissions.
Okay.
Um, you can find us on Cardboard Edison, the compendium for any designers out there that use that. Um, and we're focusing on these small box, 6-inch, 6-inch, 2-inch boxes that can retail at about $20 or $25. And
That fall into kind of the
those three
party game,
categories, exact.
trick taking, or thinky.
Yeah,
Those
it's
categories that
like
you're looking
party
for.
game, casual game, thinky games. Those are kind of our categories. We don't have a dice game yet. I mean, apart from, I guess you could say, first class letters. We don't, so we're open to really any kind of thing. Bigger concepts we're not super excited about are right now anyway. We're
Mm-hmm.
looking for things along the style of Oink games and all play games,
Mm-hmm.
games that can be set up in 5 to 10, taught in 5 to 10, and played in 20 to 40.
Yeah,
That's
these are
kind of like,
definitely up Mailman Gary's alley. My
oh yeah,
husband.
good,
He
great.
is the passenger princess when it comes to board
Uh-huh.
gaming. He wants it set up. He wants
Yes.
about 5-minute teach and under an
Perfect.
hour to play. So
Oh
this
yeah,
sounds
these
like
are many of
you're
these
going to
are
be
way under that.
yeah, filling the calyx with all of the game head games.
Yeah. So if you do have a design submission out there, you can email it to me, Paul
Okay.
at gamehead.com, or to info@gamehead.com. Give us a follow on Blue Sky and Instagram at Gamehead Games,
Mm-hmm.
and follow me at Paul Salomon 27. You can see everything I'm working on, sometimes in a slightly less professional branded look.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing at all. I know
Well,
there's a mix.
Paul,
Some people want to see like the work in progress, and some people want
yeah,
to see like the official deal.
the
So
polished.
yeah,
No,
there you go.
no. I'm
Yeah,
the
yeah.
TMI. Tell me
Uh-huh.
immediately. There is no line. You cannot cross it. I want all the information, all the details behind the scenes.
Cool.
So it has been so great chatting with you. I really appreciate you being my very first guest, and I can't wait to
Yeah,
see what
thanks.
else Gamehead has coming in the upcoming years. And I'm sure we'll be chatting again real soon.
Super honored to be here. Thank you so much for the time, Amanda.
Thanks, Paul. Have a great day.
All right, see ya.
All right.